So, it's interesting. Uh, there is something known in psychology as the fight or flight syndrome. The fight syndrome and the flight syndrome can be explained in contemporary language, but I'd like to take you back to the Dark Ages and take an example from that time. So, you remember the caveman, many thousands of years ago. In the time of the caveman, you didn't have all these, plush buildings. Most of us, our ancestors, used to live in forests and, used to make these little caves for themselves. Well, some of the stronger ones made larger caves for themselves, but that's a different story. So imagine that time, and the caveman returns home after a day of hard work, and as he enters the cave, he sees a shadow there. When he goes in, he notices the shadow is that of a tiger, and the tiger is actually sprawled out on the caveman's bed. The tiger turns around, looks at the caveman, both of them staring at each other. Now, this is where the caveman has two options. Option one, fight. So fight for my rights. I'm going to knock you down, tiger, and, reclaim my cave. Option two, flight, which is, all right, you're a big guy, you're a monster, I'm not going to fight you, I'm going to flee away. Also called flight, taking flight, running away. So the caveman in this situation had two options. He could fight or he could run away. Now, in both of these situations, the caveman requires great doses of energy. Fighting and running with a tiger behind you. You require energy. Now that's where something called adrenaline comes in. So there is this substance called adrenaline in our system. And what happens is when we are stressed or we are overtly excited, our system starts pouring in huge quantities of adrenaline into our system. When adrenaline is pumped into our system, it gives us that added boost. So the caveman could use that added boost to either fight the tiger or to run away. Both situations requiring extra doses of energy. Now, in the caveman's time, when he would be aggressive, which is the fighting part, or submissive, which is the running away part, in both those cases, he would use huge amounts of energy, and at the end of it, the energy would be sapped, he would be comfortable, all the negative energy would have come out. But cut to today's time. The caves have gone, and so have the cavemen and the tigers. Well, almost. The tigers. But today, let's say you're in a corporate situation and you're talking to your boss. The boss says something to you that you don't like. The fight syndrome here would be you sock him in the face. Like the caveman wanted to fight the tiger. But would you do that? You wouldn't. That would have huge repercussions. The other syndrome, the flight syndrome, would be if you were to look at the boss and say, well, I don't like what you're doing to me, so I'm going to run away from here. Well, that option is there, but you wouldn't take either of the options. Hitting the boss, running away, both of those would make you appear a little bit strange. So what's happening? You're still stressed. Your system is still secreting a lot of adrenaline. But unlike the caveman, today you don't have a chance of taking out all that excess energy by either hitting the guy who is bothering you or by running away. And therefore, you accumulate a lot of stress inside. And which is why today you find young and younger people actually succumbing to diseases which are stress related. So what is the option? You can't stop going to work. You can't say, all right, Lord, grant me a boss, or people around me who are fair all the time. Things are not going to change. And aggression and submissiveness don't seem to be working. So which is where you have the third option, which is being assertive. So, okay, I'm not going to sock you in the face, Mr. Boss. I'm not going to run away. But what I can do is be assertive, and using assertive communication, talk to you, sort things out, manage the conflict. And when I do that, I bring down my stress levels, my adrenaline is actually moving into a positive direction. It doesn't cause stress-related issues for me. I don't get into stressful interactions or encounters with other people. And I'm able to actually turn a potentially negative situation into a more positive one. And you know what? It's not just about bosses or subordinates. You could have conflict situations anywhere. You could be married, you could have a conflict situation with your husband or your wife. You could have children and you could have conflict situations with them, or with your friends, or with the person on the street. There is potential for conflict everywhere. And everywhere you cannot get into a situation where you start socking somebody in the face or you start running away from the situation. I mean, imagine you're on the road, there is a person who wants to overtake you and gets upset because you're not letting him overtake, and stops his car, gets out, and you get into an argument. The person is clearly being aggressive. How do you tackle it? If you are aggressive too, the chances that it could translate into a very, very dangerous, deadly situation for you, your family, other people around you. And if you're just submissive, well, he might just slap you a couple of times and walk away, which is not too good either for you. Again, assertiveness comes in, it helps you address the conflict, diffuse it. Personal situations. Your child says something to you, you get offended, you get aggressive with the child, or you're one of those submissive parents who say, oh my God, my child said that to me, oh, this is terrible. What do I do? And then you go to the other room and you feel bad about it. Either way, it's not helping the situation. That's a submissive approach. But you can handle it assertively too. You could be fair to the kid, you could be fair to yourself. So I guess what I'm saying is, irrespective of what the situation is, office, kids, out on the road, assertiveness is a good option to either being aggressive or submissive. So what's the question then? I guess the question largely is, how do I get this magical skill or attitude which is assertive, because it seems to be diffusing almost everything in life. Seems to be addressing almost everything. But let me start by saying that assertiveness is not a magic wand. So it's not something when you become proficient in it that you wave in the air and say, all right, everything's going to get solved now. No, the chances are there would still be a lot of situations which may not get solved, even if you're using assertive communication. But you know what? It's possible that 10% of the situations, or maybe even 20% may not get settled. But what if 70 to 80% of the problems get settled through assertive communication? That's not too bad a deal, is it?